What drove Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor, to face internal betrayals and relentless wars while trying to rule with justice? How did he treat Christians, and what role did his deep belief in Stoic philosophy play during his reign? In a period full of challenges, what principles guided his decisions, and how did his vision of fate and reason manifest? Why is his rule, along with that of other emperors, considered one of the golden ages of the Roman Empire? Join us as we uncover the answers to these intriguing questions about one of Rome's most admired rulers. Before we get started, don't forget to give this video a like, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications to stay updated with our latest content. And stay until the end of the video, because we'll reveal a fact about the life of Marcus Aurelius that will surprise you. Marcus Aurelius, whose full name was Marcus Aurelius Antoninus Augustus, was a Roman emperor and one of the most important and admired rulers in the history of the Roman Empire. He was the fifth and final of what political philosopher Niccolò Machiavelli called in his posthumous work Discourses on the First Decade of Titus Livy, the Five Good Emperors. The five good emperors were considered good because during their reigns, the Roman Empire enjoyed a period of relative peace, stability, effective governance, and territorial expansion. They chose their successors based on merit rather than biological inheritance, which helped maintain effective leadership. This era is seen by many historians as the Golden Age of the Roman Empire. However, as we will see, it was Marcus Aurelius himself who broke with this tradition by designating his son Commodus as his successor. Marcus Aurelius was born on April 26, 121 CE, in Rome, into a wealthy family that provided him with an excellent education. His life was marked by Stoic philosophy, devotion to duty, and a relentless pursuit of justice, virtues that distinguished him both as an emperor and in his personal life. Youth and education. At the age of 17, Marcus Aurelius' life changed dramatically when Emperor Antoninus Pius adopted him as his son, thus securing his place in the line of succession to the imperial throne. This event not only brought him closer to power but also introduced him to the complexities of Roman politics. From then on, Marcus Aurelius was prepared to rule the vast Roman Empire, receiving training in administration, diplomacy, and military arts. His education was one of the most complete and sophisticated of his time. He studied literature, law, and rhetoric, the latter being crucial for a future emperor who would need to speak eloquently before the Senate and the troops. However, his greatest interest was always philosophy, and he was particularly influenced by the philosopher Epictetus, one of the great exponents of Stoicism. Although Epictetus had already passed away by the time Marcus Aurelius studied his teachings, his lessons on inner freedom and the acceptance of fate profoundly shaped the young future emperor. This combination of political and philosophical education cemented in Marcus Aurelius the idea that a ruler should first and foremost be a virtuous man, capable of acting with justice and wisdom, guided by reason rather than by passions. These convictions would make him one of the most admired emperors of Rome, both for his leadership and his personal ethics. From an early age, Marcus Aurelius stood out for his sharp intellect and a natural inclination toward philosophy. Raised in a wealthy Roman family, he had access to an exceptional education. His attraction to Stoicism became evident in adolescence when he began studying this philosophical school, which promotes virtue as the only true good, self-discipline, and control over passions to achieve inner peace. This Stoic approach would accompany him throughout his life and would later be reflected in his method of governance. The Stoicism of Marcus Aurelius. The fundamental principles of Stoicism that Marcus Aurelius adhered to are clearly reflected in his work, Meditations. This philosophical school teaches that the universe is governed by a rational order, ruled by immutable natural laws. According to this doctrine, human beings, as rational creatures, have the ability, through study, reflection, and self-discipline, to understand these universal principles and live in accordance with them. For the Stoics, the true path to virtue and happiness lies in aligning our actions with this natural order, serenely accepting the events beyond our control. Only by mastering our emotions and desires can we achieve inner peace and face fate with equanimity, viewing each circumstance as an opportunity to act with wisdom and moral strength. Stoicism in Marcus Aurelius' Meditations. Marcus Aurelius wrote a famous book titled Meditations, in which he reflected on life, duty, and human nature. What is remarkable about Meditations is that it was not written with the intention of being published, but rather as a series of personal notes for himself, in which he constantly reminded himself of the importance of remaining calm, being virtuous, and fulfilling his duty, even in the most difficult situations. Here are some Stoic principles expressed by Marcus Aurelius in his Meditations. Living according to nature. For the Stoics, living in harmony with nature means accepting the world as it is, including the events and circumstances that are beyond our control. Virtue consists of adjusting our actions to what is rational and natural, without rebelling against what happens. Whatever happens, happens as it should. Book 4, 10. Self-control and discipline. One of the core tenets of Stoicism is control over our emotions and desires. The Stoics believed that strong emotions, such as anger, fear, or pain, are irrational and lead us away from virtue. The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Book 5, 16. Acceptance of fate. Stoics maintain that everything that happens is part of a divine or natural plan, and we must accept both the good and the bad with serenity. This implies an active resignation, without opposing what we cannot change. Accept whatever comes to you, even if it seems painful, because your will is part of the universal will, and what the universe wants is always good for the whole. Book 5, 8. Reason as a guide. Reason is the most important gift humans possess, and it should be the main driver of our actions. According to Marcus Aurelius, reason enables humans to act virtuously and align themselves with the order of the cosmos. The human soul degrades itself when it allows itself to be carried away by pleasure or pain, when it acts hypocritically, when it lets itself be carried by action without purpose, when it does not use reason to guide its actions, and when it lets itself be driven by selfishness. Book 2, 16. Universality and human fraternity. Marcus Aurelius viewed all humans as part of a great universal community. Stoicism promotes the idea that we are all part of a whole and must treat others with justice and kindness. Humanity was made to help one another. If you cannot help someone, at least do no harm. Book 6, 30. Rise to the throne. In the year 161 CE, at the age of 40, Marcus Aurelius assumed the title of emperor following the death of his adoptive father, Antoninus Pius, who had spent years preparing him to succeed him. However, what made his rise to power unique in Roman history was Antoninus' decision that Marcus Aurelius should share power with his adoptive brother, Lucius Verus, an unprecedented decision at the time. This co-regency marked the first instance in Roman history where two emperors ruled simultaneously, representing a significant innovation in the imperial power structure, partly designed to avoid the succession struggles that had destabilized the empire in the past. Although both held the title of emperor and shared authority officially, in practice, Marcus Aurelius took on the more prominent role in the administration of the empire. His experience, wisdom, and deep sense of duty made him the dominant leader, while Lucius Verus, though competent in military affairs, focused more on military tasks and more frivolous activities in Rome. In fact, during their joint reign, Lucius Verus was sent to the eastern front to face the Parthians, while Marcus Aurelius remained in the capital, overseeing civil administration and managing the growing tensions along the northern borders. The philosophical and austere nature of Marcus Aurelius stood in stark contrast to the more relaxed and pleasure-driven lifestyle of Lucius Verus, yet together they managed to maintain the stability of the empire. Marcus Aurelius took the responsibilities of the throne seriously, remaining true to his Stoic principles and managing both internal and external threats, while Lucius Verus complemented his leadership with his military experience, especially during the campaigns in the East. Despite their differences, their collaboration as emperors was successful for several years. However, after Lucius Verus' premature death in 169 CE, Marcus Aurelius became the sole emperor and fully assumed the burden of running the empire, facing a series of challenges that would test his leadership and philosophical worldview. Government and challenges. The reign of Marcus Aurelius was marked by great challenges, both militarily and internally, and his ability to deal with these issues tested his Stoic resilience. One of the main problems he faced was the constant threat of invasion on the empire's borders. Germanic tribes such as the Marcomanni, Quadi, and other barbarian populations began to put pressure on the borders along the Danube River, sparking a series of conflicts known as the Marcomannic Wars. For much of his reign, Marcus Aurelius was personally involved in these military campaigns, traveling with the army to defend the borders and maintain the empire's stability. The northern campaigns were long and exhausting, and although the emperor was not a trained soldier, he assumed command with determination to prevent the collapse of Roman defenses. At the same time, in the eastern part of the empire, the threat of the Parthians posed another dangerous front. Although Lucius Verus had led the Parthian War before his death, the conflict continued, draining the empire's resources and morale. Facing two fronts simultaneously was a constant challenge, and the military resources were often stretched thin to deal with multiple threats at once. In addition to the wars, Rome faced one of the worst public health disasters in its history, the Antonine Plague. This epidemic, which began in 165 CE and lasted more than a decade, is believed to have been a form of smallpox brought back by Roman troops returning from the eastern campaigns. The plague devastated the Roman provinces, killing millions of people and severely weakening the army, economy, and social life. The effects of the plague further complicated Marcus Aurelius' ability to defend the borders and govern the vast empire, as provinces and cities crumbled under the pressure of disease. On top of these external challenges, Marcus Aurelius also faced a significant internal conflict, the rebellion of Avidius Cassius in 175 CE. Avidius Cassius was a highly respected general who had successfully served in the eastern campaigns against the Parthians. However, driven by the false news that Marcus Aurelius had died due to his fragile health, Cassius declared himself emperor in the eastern provinces. Although he initially gained some support among the troops and in Egypt, the rebellion never gained enough strength to pose a real threat to Marcus Aurelius' throne. What adds even more intrigue to this episode is the role played by Faustina the Younger, Marcus Aurelius' wife. Daughter of Emperor Antoninus Pius, Faustina was deeply tied to the imperial dynasty, but her character has been the subject of considerable debate among ancient historians. Some sources, like the historian Dio Cassius, suggest that Faustina, concerned about her husband's deteriorating health and the future of their children, might have secretly encouraged Cassius to prepare as a succession option in case Marcus Aurelius died. However, other historians portray her as a loyal, brave, and committed wife. In any case, there is no conclusive evidence proving Faustina's direct involvement in the rebellion. What is certain is that Marcus Aurelius never questioned Faustina's loyalty, despite the rumors. Their relationship, though complex, seemed to be based on deep affection and mutual respect. Faustina accompanied her husband during many of his military campaigns, something uncommon for an empress, demonstrating her active involvement in imperial life. Marcus Aurelius honored her both in life and after her death, granting her titles and having the Senate deify her as Faustina Augusta after her passing in 175 CE, the same year as the rebellion. When news of Cassius' rebellion reached Marcus Aurelius, his reaction was deeply stoic. Instead of becoming enraged or seeking immediate vengeance, he adopted a position of clemency and reflection, publicly declaring that, if possible, he would forgive Cassius if he repented. His desire was to avoid civil conflict at all costs, believing that Roman bloodshed would only bring more chaos to the already weakened empire. However, before Marcus Aurelius could act, Avidius Cassius was assassinated by one of his own officers, eager to gain favor with the legitimate emperor. Far from celebrating Cassius' death, Marcus Aurelius expressed sadness at not having the chance to forgive him, reaffirming his commitment to justice and self-control. Moreover, instead of brutally punishing Cassius' followers, Marcus Aurelius chose leniency. On his journey to the east to restore order, he did not carry out mass reprisals, an unusual act in Roman history, where betrayals were often resolved with cruelty. This reflected his deep commitment to the Stoic ideals of forgiveness and moderation, even in moments of maximum tension. As for Faustina the Younger, she died that same year, likely during the journey to the east. Her death was a significant blow to Marcus Aurelius, who showed profound respect for his wife until the end. In her honor, he ordered tributes to be paid and a temple to be built in her name. Despite the rumors and intrigues surrounding her character, Marcus Aurelius honored her sincerely and never allowed gossip to affect the devotion he felt for her. After Cassius' death, Marcus Aurelius traveled to the east to restore order and ensure the loyalty of the provinces. Instead of carrying out mass reprisals against Cassius' supporters, he once again opted for clemency, demonstrating his ability to handle internal conflicts with wisdom and magnanimity. This episode stands as a testament to the emperor's commitment to Stoic philosophy, which promoted self-control, compassion, and the acceptance of difficulties with serenity. Despite these enormous challenges, his leadership and Stoic approach allowed him to maintain the unity and stability of the empire during his reign, facing adversities with a deep sense of duty and virtue. Situation of Christians during Marcus Aurelius' reign. During the reign of Marcus Aurelius, 161 to 180 AD, Christians were persecuted in several regions of the Roman Empire, though the imperial policy toward them was not as systematic or centralized as it had been at other times. While there is no evidence that Marcus Aurelius personally promoted the persecutions, they did occur during his reign, possibly due to the social and religious tensions of the time. Treatment of Christians under Marcus Aurelius. In the 2nd century AD, Christianity was still a relatively new religion, and many Romans viewed it with suspicion. It not only differed radically from traditional Roman and Greco-Roman beliefs, but it was also seen as a threat to the social and political order due to its rejection of the official gods of the state and imperial authority. Christians refused to participate in Roman religious rituals, which was considered an act of treason, as sacrifices to the gods were seen as a civic duty to maintain the peace and prosperity of the empire. Under the reign of Marcus Aurelius, the persecutions against Christians were not driven by a direct imperial decree but were often the result of local pressures, popular unrest, and decisions made by provincial governors. Local authorities, supported by Roman law, punished those who refused to make sacrifices to the state gods. In many regions of the empire, Christianity was still considered illegal, and some Christians were martyred for their faith during this period. Martyrs under Marcus Aurelius. One of the most notable persecutions occurred in Lyon, modern-day France, in 177 CE. Local Christians were accused of immoral and antisocial practices, leading to a series of arrests. However, these incidents were driven more by local authorities and the population than by any direct order from the emperor. Personal life. Marcus Aurelius married Faustina the Younger in 145 CE, the daughter of Emperor Antoninus Pius, with whom he had a close and complex relationship throughout their life together. Together, they had 13 children, a seemingly large offspring intended to secure the continuity of the dynasty. However, Marcus Aurelius' personal life was marked by tragedy, as many of their children died at a young age, which was a source of deep sorrow for both him and Faustina. Among the children who passed away were several sons and daughters who could have been natural candidates to succeed their father. The most well-known of their children, and the only son to survive into adulthood, was Commodus, born in 161 CE. From an early age, Marcus Aurelius made efforts to prepare him for succession, although it is likely that Commodus, unlike his father, did not share the same philosophical inclination or sense of duty. Commodus' hedonistic and violent nature began to show even before his father's death, foreshadowing the problems that would arise during his reign. Death and legacy. Marcus Aurelius died on March 17, 180 CE, while leading a military campaign on the empire's northern frontiers, near Vindobona, what is now Vienna, Austria. His death marked the end of the golden age of the Roman Empire, as the emperors who followed him were unable to maintain the same level of stability and prosperity. Marcus Aurelius' legacy has endured through the centuries, not only as an effective ruler who protected Rome from external threats but also as a wise man who tried to live and govern according to philosophical principles. His work, Meditations, continues to be read today and is considered one of the great contributions to philosophical literature. And now, as we promised, here's a curious fact about the life of Marcus Aurelius. A famous story, often referred to as the miracle of the rain or miracle of the lightning, is associated with the reign of Marcus Aurelius. According to legend, during one of his military campaigns against Germanic tribes on the empire's frontiers, the Roman army was surrounded and on the brink of defeat, exhausted under the intense heat and suffering from a lack of water. In this desperate situation, something extraordinary occurred. A sudden thunderstorm broke out on a sunny day, bringing rain and lightning. The rain provided the Roman soldiers with much-needed water, while the lightning struck the enemy forces, causing chaos and allowing the Romans to achieve victory. And what do you think? Do you believe that reality is governed by rational, knowable principles, as the Stoics claimed? Is an emperor who tolerates the killing of Christians because they do not respect the gods and rituals of the city, acting according to the principles of Stoic philosophy? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. We hope you enjoyed this video. If you want us to cover a specific topic, please write it in the comments. Give this video a like and share it so your family and friends can also learn about Stoicism and power, how Emperor Marcus Aurelius ruled Rome. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe. And don't miss our recommended video at the end. You will enjoy it. Never forget, history is the imitator of time, the repository of actions, the witness of the past, the example and warning of the present, the caution for the future.